With that, what I will say about this watch as well is we have just won the chronometer prize at the GPHG for this particular watch.
Based on the Wings of Hope, it's an American aviation charity. So basically pilots who are either retired or in their spare time are then going to go out and give aid to third world countries.
This one with the micro gas tubes has also got a thermometer on board on the dial, which has got oils inside it which will stand up to minus 40 degrees.
These watches just don't appear. There's been a lot of thought, a lot of production and a lot of testing that's gone into every aspect of this watch. Well, we've come to look at WATCHPRO, which is a yearly event here at the Londoner Hotel. We've been invited to actually come and talk to a lot of our retail partners and some manufacturers we don't deal with who we may well deal with in the future. Thank you very much for the invite, and it's really good to see all your new product here. So if you'd like to talk me through what's happening in the world of Grand Seiko.
Yeah, very exciting time for us. We'll start at this far end here. So we're gonna start with grand prize over here. This is called the Kodo. It's a constant force tourbillon. It's a world's first being a constant force tourbillon within a single structure on the same axis. With that, what I will say about this watch as well is we have just won the chronometer prize at the GPHG for this particular watch.
Which was last evening?
Yes, last night. So yeah, it was very proud to have won that. And this has come from an area of, a watch studio that we've recently created, which is called Atelier Ginza, where we're focusing mainly on mechanical masterpieces. So hopefully you will see some more beautiful high horology pieces like this coming through. And a real key thing with the Japanese is the kind of play of light and shadow, and how the importance of the shadow is just as important as the light, because without the shadow you don't get the light. So that's why you see this beautiful skeletal design with that platinum and high intensity titanium, and those beautiful finishings and all those multifacets that you see on the watch, which really plays, especially once you get it on the wrist and move it around.
We can't actually see the back of it. Is there a display back on this?
Yeah. So it's an open case back as well. On there you've got two main springs to power the watch, and understandably then the constant force, which holds 50 hours power reserve to keep a constant force to the tourbillon through that period of time. That basically works as a remontoire, and the watch, as I mentioned, is called Kodo, which in Japanese translates as heartbeat. And part of the reason for that is because obviously this constant force tourbillon is bringing the watch to life, but also the tourbillon's going at an 8-beat frequency, and then the constant force going around at 1 tick per second creates what you call a semi-quaver in musical terms. And the movement designer was previously a professional musician, so to him having that aesthetic plus the complication plus the enjoyment of the sound for the wearer as well was all very important. So it's a truly remarkable piece.
Superb. It looks really, really cool. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Should anybody want to put their hand in their pocket for this little beauty, how much would it cost?
This one is £310,000 RRP, and with that it's limited to 20 pieces worldwide. Sure. This is the first time we've had it on display here in the UK, and there's been high demand worldwide, so if anyone does want to put their hand in their pocket, it better be quick, yeah, especially off the back of last night's news.
Okay. Here we are at the Oris booth.
Oris
is it a booth?
Oris stand.
Oris stand.
Again, another one of our limited editions for this year. It's the Wings of Hope. So we've got it on the steel, and then we've got it in solid 18-karat yellow gold.
Wow. Okay.
So this is limited to 1,000 pieces. The yellow gold is limited to 100 pieces. Okay. But then the price point represents that, so 12,300. So it's based on the Wings of Hope. It's an American aviation charity. So basically pilots who are either retired or in their spare time are then going to go out and give aid to third world countries. Kenya, Haiti, and this watch is in support of that. There always has to be a charitable angle or a way of giving back with Oris. Our kind of saying is it must make sense, and that's what Oris is all about. I mean, we launched our sustainability report in March.
Yep.
So we are climate neutral now as a company, and then we've set certain goals over the next 5 years to make ourselves even better for the planet.
So it must make sense and it must make money. Yeah.
Must make sense. Must make sense.
Must make financial sense. I'm here with Nick from Bull Watches. another one of our esteemed partners. So we'd just like to see what Nick's new product is.
For the WATCHPRO Salon, we're launching the Shackleton Endurance,
Yes.
which is the second generation. So the first generation came out about 3 or 4 years ago, and it sold out. So this is a limited edition of 1,000 pieces. So the story of Sir Ernest Shackleton as a polar explorer,
Yep.
so which his ship, the Endurance, was trapped in pack ice and was crushed. It was recently found, possibly about 7 or 8 months ago, in the Arctic Circle. This one, with the micro gas tubes, has also got a thermometer on board on the dial, which has got oils inside it,
Yes.
which will stand up to minus 40 degrees. So it's a carbide case. We've got an ice blue Tiffany style dial, and then on the back you will see the engraving of Ernest Shackleton's ship, the Endurance.
Sure.
So you'll see the engraving there. This is a sample. So this watch should come out limited to 1,000 pieces worldwide. The last version sold out within 12 months.
Yeah.
So we're expecting this one to sell out pretty quickly, and it will be numbered and on the side of the case with the Shackleton ship.
So do we need one of these little torch gizmos then?
Yeah, so this essentially is a UV light that simulates what the gas tubes will look like in the dark. So these are tritium micro gas tubes that are unreliant on any outside light source.
Okay.
So unlike, say, superluminova, which is the dominant lume in the watch industry, which will shine for 3 to 4 hours subject to charging, tritium will shine and can easily last for up to 25 years in the dark. So it's a really functional.
Absolutely. So this is something that Ball do, whereas other watchmakers don't.
As an introduction to luxury watchmaking, we use high-grade tritium.
Okay.
So we're the only brand at this level that use tritium. There is a number of patents over the years that Ball have with this level of tritium.
Yeah, I thought
so there's no other, at this level, there's no other brand that uses it. It's incredibly bright, and if you do any outdoor activity, sailing, camping, it is essentially a torch on your wrist, which is really useful.
When you say a thermometer, how does that work?
It's just all internal within the watch.
And so how do you read
So
how hot it is, how cold it is?
So you'll see the temperature gauge there on the. I don't know if you can get right into it. Yep. So that was the temperature gauge that will give you the temperature, not from your wrist, but the temperature in the room.
So ambient temperature.
Yeah. So for Arctic explorers, for people that are outside, adventurers, etc., or even people that just like outdoor activity.
So it's an outdoor watch.
It's an outdoor watch. Yeah.
I'm now here with Elliot Brown at the Londoner Hotel. We're going to look at the new product that Elliot Brown have come out with. This is my good friend Ian, who I've dealt with for several years in looking at military projects, and we'll show you a few of those that we've actually done together. But I think it's kind of useful to actually look at the product, and as you all know, these watches just don't appear. There's been a lot of thought, a lot of production, and a lot of testing that's gone into every aspect of this watch, or these watches. So what we'll do, we'll have a quick overview with Ian, and he will tell us how good the product is and how good each individual bit of the product is. So if you can just go through some of this with me, I'll be really obliged, and then we can tell all the people that are looking at this. They may be interested, they may not be, but but let's give it a go.
So we started from a background in extreme sports where we were used to seeing watches that get absolutely smashed to pieces from, I don't know, things like salt water and mud and rocks and snow. So that's our background, and it kind of forms the bedrock of Elliot Brown. So the company was formed on the premise of imagine what we could do with that unique knowledge and a blank sheet of paper. So some of the things that we do that are pretty unique in the industry, for example, our movements will sit inside this, which is a little shock absorption system. We call it the movement shield. So instead of using a little plastic bracket, we use a lump of stainless steel, which has got some weight. That floats inside the case on a series of little elastomers. Do you want to give that a press into the case with your thumbs, and you'll feel it?
I can.
So you can feel it slide into the case, and that's now suspended on a series of silicon dampers. So if the case gets a knock, This is heavy and tries to stay still, and it takes the shock out of the movement. Everything we make has that in it. Essentially, our job is to ruggedize what we make with some clever engineering. So all of our watches have a solid screw-in strap bar. It's completely unbreakable. We've sent watches around the world mounted to yachts just using the bars, and they come back a year later. All of the steel that we use is 316 stainless. We can polish it. We can plate it with ion plating to make it look like bronze, matte, gunmetal PVD. Every single component is designed because it has a function. So for example, the case backs, all of our case backs bolt down. We don't screw them down, we bolt them down. The bolts are outside of the seal. So if you look at that very carefully, there's a black seal there, there's a shock absorber inside, and you see the bolt holes. So when that's on the case, instead of screwing it down and hoping that you've got it to the right tension, by bolting it down, the logo is always nice and straight, which is, if you're a little bit OCD like us, that's a tick. But also, if that gets compressed by going deeper underwater, the seal gets better and better and better. We've got a watch in the office that went down 1,900 metres, and it's still fine.
Perfect.
The crowns have triple seals. On the Canford collection, for example, if I pull that crown out into the adjust position, that's still just as sealed, and we'll still pass our 200-metre water test as it is when it's in.
Sure.
So everything has a triple seal. All the glass is sapphire. It's got an anti-reflective coating. You can see how thick it can be on some of the models, and it's really, really tough. You know, I can whack that with a bit of stainless steel, and it doesn't do anything to it. Straps-wise, we've got a whole mixture of straps. We do some lovely deployant systems where the buckle might open up like that. We've got on our stainless steel straps, so this is a 3-link strap. Everything's solid stainless, machined from lumps of steel. It's not hollow. There's solid screw-in bars in between each link. The buckle itself, there's no pressed metal in there. It's all machined from solid stuff, and it's got this lovely diver's extension. So if I'm sticking this on over a wetsuit, I can just pull that all the way out, and it'll just click back to whatever position I need it over the wetsuit.
If you can talk me through some of the military watches that you possibly have done in the past. I know we've been talking about one for Op Herrick earlier.
We have.
And it might be interesting to just go through some of the design elements of why we end up with a watch like this. It's not, we don't just think about it and think, well, let's just do this. There's a lot of thought goes into each aspect.
Yeah, and interestingly, when we've been very lucky to work with many military groups and projects, almost the last thing we consider is putting the logo on the dial. We like to tell stories hidden within the watch that become apparent when you know they're there. So if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you're none the wiser, and that's great for us because we do a lot of stuff that you know, you don't want it to be highly publicised. So this one's got a pale grey pattern across the dial, which is from I think it's called Hesco, the fabric that's used to build Camp Bastion in Afghanistan. So this Op Herrick watch is all to do with the conflict in Afghan. There's a number of people that died in that conflict. That number is reflected on the case back inside a map. The digit at number 2 is coloured green for the safe zone. It's also at number 2 because of the year the conflict started, 2002. And then the number 14 on the minutes track is picked out in red for the year the conflict ended. So they're good examples showing you how we can hide things that have a meaning to a particular watch or a particular group and give it a nice story.
That's a great looking watch. The one that I did with a collaboration with yourself was the Chinook, and we ended up with a Chinook on the dial.
And it's a lovely colour that we've got this lovely vintage vibe going on. The Canford has a really lovely internal bezel, so it's a bi-directional timing bezel. It's a real pleasure to use. You wouldn't use it for diving, but for just normal timing duties, it's perfect. It's a really good, nice looking, easy to wear watch.
Absolutely.
And you can wear it, you can wear it out, but also you could wear it on operations. It's, everything we make is tough enough for that. In fact, this was designed for operations.
Sure. Yeah. So they're designed to wear, they're not just stick in a cupboard.
No.
So what we end up with is a limited edition case back, which is all numbered. So, can't remember how many we did of these, the 50?
I think it was 50, yeah.
50.
Yeah, and there's space for personalised engraving as well around here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're happy to engrave them for the client or the end user. So it becomes an heirloom in the end, and I think it's a wonderful piece of kit. It was good to be here. Glad to speak to partners I'd not seen for probably a considerable time. Elliot Brown are good, Grand Seiko fantastic, and the other partners, it's really good to see them and have a chat with people that I actually haven't seen for an awful long time. Good innovation, quality product, nice to see them all in one place, and almost certainly we'll be buying some of their new editions.